On August 30th, 2020, Father James Altman of the Diocese of La Crosse released a video statement entitled, "You Cannot Be a Catholic and a Democrat, period." Later on in the month of September, his bishop, Bishop William Callahan, from the Diocese of La Crosse, responded to him. What follows is my letter to the bishop defending Father James Altman. Dear Bishop Callahan, in the diocese that you shepherd, there is a shrine on a hill dedicated to Our Lady of Guadalupe. Under this title, the Blessed Virgin holds the unborn under her patronage. When she appeared in Mexico in the 16th century, she did so to a society hostile to life. By her intercession and the grace of God, that society largely repented from its evil ways and was converted to Christ. In the same spirit, Father Altman has reminded us that our country must do the same. I know that Altman's recent video message, "You cannot be Catholic and a Democrat, period," has caused quite a stir and has disrupted the everyday routines of your office. However, I feel it prudent and necessary to respond to your statement about this situation that you released to the public on September 9th, 2020. Early on in that letter, you have written that the amount of calls and emails you are receiving at the diocesan offices are proof of how divisive Altman is. I would argue that the overwhelming number of responses to his message are not some sort of smoking gun that proves his divisiveness, but rather evidence that there is a pre-existing division within the church. That division has a name: sin. When our blessed Lord spoke the words, "I am the way and the truth and the life," he meant what he said. We must be convicted that if Jesus Christ is the truth, it follows that two opposing positions on moral issues cannot both be right. One will be wrong. It is our duty as faithful Catholics to promote and defend what is right. We learn what is right by learning to know and love Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ did not shy away from admonishing those who were in grave error. He routinely reminded people to not be like the Pharisees and Sadducees unless they wanted to face eternal damnation. You mentioned that Father Altman's generalization and condemnation of entire groups of people was inappropriate. Was the second person of the Trinity inappropriate as well? Father Altman did call out a number of people, but I suspect you were primarily focusing on his statement on how a person cannot be a Catholic and a Democrat. I strongly suspect that you are receiving pressure from those who believe the opposite. We need to be careful here and remember that being a Democrat is different than being a woman or being a black man. The former is something you can actually choose to be. It's a choice. It's an action, not a person. And this is something that can be judged. Father Altman was simply stating that there are ideologies that are diametrically opposed to the Catholic Church. Those who adopt those ideologies condemn themselves. There is strong evidence that the Democrat Party has been invaded and taken over by socialism. The problem with socialism is that it very often morphs into communism, which is an atheistic political system which sees human life as expendable and embraces the meaningless vacuum of evil that exists in the absence of God. To condone such an attitude is extremely dangerous. Not only does it endanger physical bodies, but it is the way it endangers the soul that carries the most dire consequence. At a certain point, it's necessary to inform our brothers and sisters if they are likely in a state of mortal sin. We can try the dialogue method, but sometimes we must rebuke. And even though it might be painful for a listener to hear an angry sounding voice, it would be far more painful for that person to burn in the fires of hell for eternity. I doubt Jesus spoke like a kindergarten teacher when he uttered the words, "Get behind me, Satan." Contrary to what you claim, Altman's message to those who support abortion and propagate other atheistic mores is not lacking in charity, but full of charity. He said what he said to wake people up and preserve their souls. Sometimes love is telling people what they don't want to hear. We are fools to think that love is always followed by peace or constantly feels nice. My prayer for you is that you remember what it means to admonish the sinner. By this, I do not mean to silence the priests who preach the truth. I hope that you realize the courageousness that Father Altman has. I hope you learn from it. If you were looking for dialogue, he has delivered it. If you think he has inflicted a wound on the church, realize that he was pointing out that the church has already been wounded for a very long time. Do not wound the church further by allowing the infection of evil to fester in your silence. I know it might feel easier or more comfortable, but one of our golden calves in society is the desire for a conflict free existence. If an entire group of people adopts an ideology that promotes evil, we must pick up our cross and then let them know. I am asking Our Lady of Guadalupe to intercede for us so that God may grant us the strength to do this. For those people who darken the doors of Catholic churches and call themselves Democrats, it's time for them to let that identity go and find their identity in Jesus Christ.